good afternoon. It's time to get some education. I have here young Benjamin. Ben, where are you going to take us on our journey of AI insights today?
Hi. So yeah, I'm quite excited about this one. So we've been on a bit of a journey, trying to sort of get to the nuts and bolts of how retrieval augmented generation works. So RAG, which is quite a popular thing at the moment. Reason it's popular is so it allows you to get your own data into an LLM, but without having to fine tune it or retrain it. So it's a really sort of energy and effort efficient way of customizing these things. So this one is a kind of culmination of all of the previous episodes. And we're going back to Postman, and we'll get down to sort of some of the data on the wire and different bits and pieces. So I'll do a real quick recap. So we're switching back to Llama from IBM Granite just for this one. But you'd likely get very similar results with IBM Granite as well. And where we left off last time is we were talking about context, and that's the real basis for all of this RAG stuff. So what we did is, if we say bye, then we get an answer in English. So if I clear the context and then I say hello in Portuguese, we get hola back. And then if I say bye, we get an answer back in Portuguese. So the question or the prompt of saying say hello in Portuguese has affected the context for this conversation. Now, this is the last time you'll see these black and white windows have a bit more color this time, but I just wanted to bring your attention to this bottom window down here. This is the logs from Ollama running in the background, and it's calling an API chat endpoint. So when I'm actually interacting with it through the terminal, it still is doing what Postman does. So, before I show you that, so I have prepared the Postman collection. So if you go to the GitHub repository, github.com/flowmoco/canopy-AI-insights, then you can download the Postman collection. So everything that you'll see on the screen is available there online at the moment.
All right. If you send me that link later, I'll stick it in the blog article for everybody so they can find it easy.
Perfect. Thank you. So we'll start off. So I've sort of prepared a few bits to run through. So really quickly, we went over this on a previous podcast, but this is essentially the same setup that we just had running in the terminal. So we've got our model, which is Llama 3.2 latest. This is a 2 billion parameter model that fits within the GPU memory on my laptop. So we get nice quick results.
And how much was your laptop?
It's probably around the 1,500 to 2,000 mark, but it is 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you've got a new MacBook with Apple Silicon, all of the system memory can be used for Ollama. So if you've got a new MacBook, you'll have like 16 gig of memory that will get you really quick answers as well. So because it's a mixed thing that's shared between the GPU and the CPU. And we've had some really good experience with that in work. I'm a Linux guy, so I've stuck with traditional Intel-based hardware, but I am feeling a bit sore about that now. So we'll see.
See what I did there? I totally distracted you, which means I'm more likely to win my wager today about whether or not this comes in under 10 minutes. Okay.
That was in my mind. We're doing okay. 4 minutes so far. So this is what's happened behind the scenes. So I wanted to draw your attention to this sort of interweaving of user and then assistant messages. So a user message is what I've sent into the LLM. This is me typing into the terminal, pushing enter, it's been sent. The assistant is the response that's come back. And as the conversations evolve, this interweaving of messages continues. So I'll use that to jump now. I'll prove that it does work. So I'm going to click send. Notice that it's the /API chat endpoint. And you can see that we get chow back in the same way. You know, it's wrapped in this other response bits and pieces, but message content that's the result that we get. And just to save myself repeating later, if you're asking a software developer or you're looking at sort of agentic use of these tools, this is the wire. This is how they do communicate with each other, primarily through these sort of HTTP calls. So on to something that's a little more interesting. Now, this is the real basis and a real basic example of retrieval augmented generation. So additionally, we now have a system prompt. Now, you'll be very used to this. This is kind of where you tell it what it is, how you want it to respond, where you set the constraints and the kind of the rules of the conversation.
But I give it a persona when I'm doing my stuff for the marketing side, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've given it a persona here, and I will read through this. What happens with the chat interfaces is you obviously don't have the control where you're kind of setting role and all the rest of it, but it has the same effect. So it kind of go, that is the system prompt. I'm going to stick it into that bit when I'm sending these API calls to the back end. So I'll quickly read through the prompt. So you're an assistant for question answering tasks. Use the following pieces of retrieved context to answer the question. So that's what locks it in to the information that we've given it, which might not be in the training model. And that's where the augmented part of the generation comes in. And notice that we're basically faking it like the LLM itself has given us this answer, but this is actually an external source. I've manually written this. Okay. So the data is in the format of an owner and then details about that owner. Records are separated by a semicolon and fields are separated by a comma. If you don't know the answer, just say that you don't know. That can be very important, or it can just hallucinate, make things up.
That stuff I had this morning where it was just making up a whole new meeting in the transcript that I was trying to do. Kind of crazy that.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, that was a great story. We could do an episode just on that, I think.
Yes, yeah, I can't really show the details of the meeting, unfortunately, but yeah, that was
more your journey / battle and step backwards. So use 3 sentences maximum and keep the answer concise. So we'll run this now. So what I've done is this is just essentially the data. This could be a text representation of a spreadsheet, other bits and pieces of information. And if you were doing this and you were building a RAG application, this bit of the source of this information would be another system or something that you've injected. But you can just write it. So you could, take this Postman collection, process some information, or write out something similar around, information about people or customers or whatever you want to do. And then you can start to ask questions about it. So my question is, what is Ben's favorite color and Stuart's least favorite color? So, and importantly, I've not used the word favorite in this. I've used love, and I've not used the word least favorite. I've used the word hate, which, generally try and avoid the word hate. But what I'm trying to get to is that this is also doing semantic matching with these words. I haven't used the direct words that are in the question. So let's see what it comes back with. So it's got the answer right. So Ben's favorite color is blue and Stuart's least favorite color is red. So if we move on to the next one, this is a really, really quick example, and I'm almost certainly going to tank the 10 minutes. But I've just tacked on answer in Portuguese.
Okay.
And then we get the answer back in Portuguese.
You think?
That yes, yeah. I'm not qualified. We should have a panel to vet that, but yeah, it kind of looks similar-esque. I think Verde is the right one. So you can ask it questions in English and then ask for a response in another language. I would have to leave someone else to actually vet and confirm that as well. So I've just got some other little bits, and I'm definitely going to owe you those cookies. So this is just a slight deviation. So instead of asking what Ben's favorite color is and what Stuart's favorite color is. I'm saying, what is the best color? And there's no mention of best in any of this. So it's come back and it's saying, I don't know. So I don't know. The information provided only mentions the colors that each person loves and hates, but it doesn't specify a universally best color. So it's done the job. You know, it's been constrained. Obviously, I've not told it about language and meaning and all the rest of it within my little assistant context, but it's stuck with what I've told it. It's not deviated from that. So this other example is, again, just something, if you do want to extend and play with this stuff yourself, you can comment out different lines by just adding 2 slashes. It won't be read by the LLM because it's just commented out in the payload. So, and you can sort of see through the highlighting. So you can play with this stuff. You can litter lots of little bits that you're trying and leave it in there. Just comment it out. It won't have any detrimental effect. So I'm gonna, excuse me. I think I'm doing quite well for not coughing. So we picked up where we were before. So what is the best color? I don't know. So what I've done then, just to illustrate the point of these interweaving user assistant kind of pattern, is I've put the answer that it's given me back into itself. Interestingly, if you don't end on a user response, you just don't get anything back. You've not given it a question. So it just is like, don't know. So I'm going to send it another question. So saying, please try and answer disregarding the retrieved context. So this is interesting. It has given me an answer. It's not said I don't know, but it's saying that the concept of a single best color is subjective and can vary greatly from person to person, culture to culture, and context to context. There is no universally accepted definition of the best color. Ultimately, the best color is a matter of personal preference. It's quite a nice rounded response. And the reason I wanted to draw your attention to this has now changed some of the earlier parts of the conversation where I said, stick to just what you've been given. And this don't have time to talk about it now, but you can get prompt injection attacks, and this is kind of how they work. So you can embed prompts inside websites and other document sources. When the LLMs read them, it doesn't know that it's actually shouldn't be there. So right. Topic for another time, but that's kind of how they can work. And play
that one. That's a great topic. I'm looking forward to tunneling into that one.
Yeah. Hopefully in your notes there wasn't a load of prompt injection, and that's why it just went mad. So very finally on this one, saying if you do not know the best color, what is the most popular? And notice that I've skipped adding in this, this role assistant back. So I'm going to ask it again. And now it's come back and has said, according to various surveys and studies, the most popular color is often considered to be blue, as it is calming and versatile color. One last thing is, on this example, I did remove Ben Love color from being blue, which it was in the previous examples, to orange, just to show that that isn't influencing this response. So this response has just come from the training that this model has had. It's not to do with the kind of RAG context that's been injected.
Okay, nice one. And we're going to get some of this prompt attack stuff in a future episode. And we've also had a couple of requests for, can we show people things that we like applications where people are using this stuff in the real world, and maybe some startups or something we can bring in here and just sort of see what we like about it and show what we think is going on.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Ben. I shall do my good job of turning this into a blog article and getting this out to everybody later today. But thank you so much for bringing all of these amazing insights. I learn something every time we sit down together. So thank you so much for that. And I hope anybody is building something now and using some of this to help them, I hope they're getting the most out of it. And they write to you and say, hey, Ben, thanks for that, man. You really saved me like a couple of hours trying to work that stuff out. Appreciate it.
Well, that'd be lovely. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
All right, mate. See you later. Happy Friday.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.